Hey everyone, it's me, John Lorden. Welcome back to another episode of Itchy Mysteries. We're here back in the screening room to talk about a new film that has just been released on Netflix called Amanda Knox. And I wasn't very familiar with this case. I did hear some rumblings about it in the press when it was going on. But obviously that is when I wasn't quite as involved with these types of investigations like I am now. And because of that, I had a very simplistic view of this case. I was pretty much just taking what the media was telling me. Sounds like a college student that is in Italy and staying with her roommate, and she gets a new boyfriend and things get a little kinky in some way, and somehow her roommate winds up dead. Because I had such limited exposure to the real details of this case, I went into this documentary fairly open-minded, and I do think that the filmmakers did a very good job in particular of naming this documentary. It is called Amanda Knox. It is not called Meredith Kercher. And if you look at other people's reviews of this, some people are knocking the fact that there is little coverage about Meredith, and there really is. I can only think of a few select moments in this film when they even show her, at least show footage of her. They really don't go into her backstory very much. I do think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity. However, this film is decidedly from the perspective of Amanda Knox. I mean, she is doing the overall narration. They do interview some other people in this as well, such as the lead investigator and a member of the press who, if you have questions about how big media works, you should watch this just to see that guy's perspective. There was one moment in particular, I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but there's one moment in particular where he is mentioning the fact that he basically doesn't even check the facts that he hears because he's worried about getting the story out later than someone else, which just boggles my mind. I mean, it looks like fact checking is no longer possible because we have the internet now, which I think is completely ridiculous. But there was definitely a few head shaking moments for me in this documentary. And there is a very convincing side being told to this case here. They definitely cast a bit of a light on the lead investigator. I'm personally not very impressed with him after watching this, and I've done just a little bit of research into things that have happened since then, and it looks like he's gotten into even some other trouble for some of his practices. But there are some very interesting things that happen in this documentary that I think make it worthwhile, but I would caution anyone that's going to watch it to realize that this is really the story of Amanda Knox. It's almost more about her perspective and about the court proceedings that happened around this case, as opposed to a documentary that is actually about the facts of the case and trying to drive to the truth. They do present some light facts, but if you take a look at IMDb and check out the reviews in there, you'll see there are people, they're kind of soapboxing a little bit, but they're basically claiming that there are a bunch of facts that are not included in this documentary. This documentary is only, I think, an hour and a half long, and that's something that is a bit of an artistic decision. Are you going to make a 10-part miniseries going into this case and really diving into each of the facts, or are you going to try to tell a 90-minute story? And that is what this documentary does, and it tells Amanda's story in particular. So if you're looking for a totally unbiased view, if you're looking to try to understand both sides of what's going on in this case, I don't think that this documentary does a fair job at doing that. There are two directors on this, and one of them, Brian McGinn, is known for also doing the Chef's Table series on Netflix. And admittedly, there were a few moments when I was watching this and I was like, this feels almost exactly like an episode of Chef's Table. Like, I'm not sure if they were using some of the same music, but there were a few moments in particular where it really just reminded me of that same type of documentary. There's also a little bit of a cameo from a bit of a younger Donald Trump that pops up in this. So it was just, I think it's a good piece. Right now, it's rating 7 out of 10 on IMDb. I think it's going to cause a lot of discussion. It'll definitely give you a lot to think about, particularly about cultural biases. If there is anything of an undertone in this, I think that it is about cultural biases, because you kind of see the Italian investigators and how they view this girl from America, and they kind of lay these things on her about her promiscuity and stuff that I don't know if it's really accurate. And then also you see this British journalist, and he's kind of doing the same thing. And once again, it doesn't feel very authentic or accurate. So I think it's interesting just to see how these cultural biases can affect people, particularly when they're going through a big media case like this. And then, of course, that's another aspect of this: media pressures. How does that affect a case? Did that help or hinder the investigation? I think you guys can imagine what my answer is to that, but I'll leave it for you to check out for yourself. It's definitely a well-spent 90 minutes. I really recommend you check it out. I personally, as a piece of film, I think I would rate it higher than a 7 out of 10. I think I would push it closer to an 8 out of 10. There's definitely some beautiful scenery. You get to see some of what Italy looks like, which is pretty awesome, at least to see through the window of this film. And there's some other aspects about the investigator, how his mind works, the media, how their perspective weaves into this, that I think will make some very good talking points, particularly if you watch this with a loved one or a group of peers or something like that. But I do just have this very strong feeling, and it's definitely supported by reviews on IMDb, that I don't think that this is a very unbiased view. This is a perspective coming from Amanda Knox. They don't misrepresent that. There are many people complaining about that they've somehow misrepresented that. I don't know how that could be misrepresented when the title of it is Amanda Knox. Her face is literally a talking head, just like mine is right now, for a significant portion of this film. So I don't get that feeling that it's misrepresented. Is there a lot more to dig into in this case? I certainly think so. You could probably spend hours, if not days, digging into all the logistics of this case and the trials and how all of that played out. If they'd made a 7 or 10 part documentary series on this, I would certainly watch it, and I believe it would bring you much different insight than this 90-minute kind of snapshot version does. But for being a compelling story, for having a certainly strong mystery in it of did Amanda do this or not, and for having these other elements about how investigators work, how the media works, I think this is a pretty good piece. So like I said, 8 out of 10. Please check it out for yourselves and let me know what you think in the comments below. I think that's about it. I hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you so much for joining me here in the screening room. I'll see you on the next Itchy Mysteries. Take care, everyone. Catch you on the next show on the Lord Nerds channel.